Every person is a gift from God, with gifts to share. We all have unique abilities, strengths, and skills that allow us to have an impact in the places we live, learn, work, and play. Gifts for the greater good. That's what it's all about. So, let's take this journey together and discover how we've all been gifted for more.
We want to make sure our kids know that they're dismissed to head out to kids ministry, our Crosspoint kids. Jasper's back here in the room and he's waving. That's your guy. Yay. So kids, have a great morning. Some mornings I just want to be with them. I love kids, man. Grandkids are the best because then you give them back, right? Yeah, it's fantastic. So, all right. So we have been, this fall season, we've been talking about our vision of what it means to love God and to connect with our God, and then to love others, connecting with other people, and then love our community and just what it means to connect into our community. And so we talked about those three elements in a teaching series, and then we moved into a series of messages talking about doing that by living out how we're gifted. We talked about the fact that each one of us is gifted in a unique and a special way. Each one of us was made in a unique way by God. I thoroughly believe that. I'm thoroughly convinced that God is the one who put you together and molded and built you to be exactly the person you are today. And so because of that, you have certain gifts, you have certain skills, certain abilities that you bring to the table, that you bring to the congregation, you bring to your workplace, you bring to your family. Your gifting is important. And when we discover what our gifting is, we can start living into that. And I'm thoroughly convinced that when you start living into your gifting, you start living in such a way that you're excited about your day. Now, I don't know about you, but there are lots of us who've worked jobs where we felt like it was just a job, right? It's just a job, I did my job. But when you feel like you're working in your gifting, you get excited about the work you get to do. And it's just a different attitude, right? Because you enjoy it so much because you're gifted at doing it. It's sort of your sweet spot in life to use your skills, use your gifts. So, for example, somebody who's really good with numbers, really good with figures, really good with charts and spreadsheets and graphs and all that should be an accountant, right? Because they're gifted in that area and they love doing it, and I don't. And that's so don't make me an accountant, right? But somebody who is really good at that finds when their feet hit the floor in the morning, they're excited about going to work, right? And so it's that whole idea, whether you're a dental hygienist, and I love this one because I've actually said to my dental hygienist, I've said, so you're in somebody's mouth all day long. She's like, I love my job, and it makes all the difference. And I'm like, there it is, right? There it is. So today, as a way to wrap up this series, what I wanted to do is to let you hear how persons who sit right in the seats around you are living out their gifting. Now, it could have been any one of you in lots of different circumstances, in lots of different ways, but I had to narrow it down to some folks, and so I narrowed it down to 3 people, and I'm going to ask them in just a minute to come up front and sit in these seats with me so that we can do a panel discussion for you. I also interviewed Betsy Ham this week, and we popped it up on the internet yesterday, and it's an audio recording of my sit-down with Betsy, and we got a chance to talk about what it looks like for her to live out her gifting. And the reason I chose Betsy is because she is the CEO of Duck Donuts, and no, she did not bring me samples. So I gave her a hard time. She's like, I came from the corporate office. I didn't come from one of the stores. I'm sorry, next time. So I said, all right. So there you go. But it's a great interview because she is interviewed quite often, as you can imagine. Duck Donuts is a global industry now. They have shops in Singapore, in Dubai, and all kinds of places around the world, Central America, and all kinds of places. And she's been able to travel all around. So she gets interviewed all the time for her skill set as the leader and CEO of Duck Donuts. And so I said, can I talk to you about using it? She's like, I've never been asked these questions in any of the interviews I've ever done. No one's ever asked me about my gift set and how I use my gifting to get where I'm at today and to be the CEO of Duck Donuts. So I just wanted to do that with you for a bit because I know some of us struggle like, well, how do I use my gifts? Am I using my gifts? How important is this really? And I just think it's so incredibly important for us to live into the gifting that God has for us. But I'm not the only one who thinks this. God thinks this. Here's what it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I want you to hear this. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, beginning at verse 12. I'm going to read all the way to the end of the chapter in verse 31. Here's what it says. So, and listen, by the way, to his terminology. He's going to use some very specific terminology, and he's going to call us, as the church, he's going to call us a body. He's going to make this reference to the congregation being like a physical body, and that each one of us is a part of the physical body. So that's the metaphor he's going to use. He says the human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. So it is with the body of Christ. Some of us are Jews, some are Gentiles, some are slaves, and some are free. But we all have been baptized into one body by one Spirit, and we all share the same Spirit. Yes, the body has many different parts, not just one. If the foot says, I am not a part of the body because I'm not a hand, that does not make it any less part of the body. And if the ear says, I'm not a part of the body because I'm not an eye, would that make it any less part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? You would be that guy from Monsters Incorporated, right? Sorry. Just wanted to give you a visual there, right? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Or if your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? But our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part where he wants it. How strange a body would be if it had only one part. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. In fact, some parts of the body that seem weakest and less important are actually the most necessary. And the parts we regard as less honorable are those we clothe with the greatest care. So we carefully protect those parts that should not be seen, while the more honorable parts do not require this special care. So God has put the body together such that extra honor and care are given to those parts that have less dignity. This makes for harmony among the members, so that all the members care for each other. Did you hear that? So all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. All of you together are Christ's body, and each of you is a part of it. Here are some of the parts God has appointed to the church. First, our apostles. Second, our prophets. Third, our teachers. Then those who do miracles, and those who have gifts of healing, those who can help others, and those who have the gift of leadership, those who speak in unknown languages. Are we all apostles? Are we all prophets? Are we all teachers? Do we all have the power to do miracles? Do we all have the gift of healing? Do we all have the ability to speak in unknown languages? Do we all have the ability to interpret unknown languages? Of course not. So, you should earnestly desire the most helpful gifts. This ends the reading of God's word. Thanks be to God. So let me ask our three panelists to come up. This sounds like Price is Right or something, right? Yeah. Come on down. So let me ask our three panelists to come up this morning, and we're going to take a moment we'll introduce everybody who's here, and then I have just a few questions I'm going to ask them, and what our hope today is that you get a chance to hear how these three particular individuals are utilizing their gifts in the world that they live in. So go ahead, grab your microphone, and have a seat. And I'm just going to go right down the row. Okay, you good? All right, there we go. Great. All right, yes, that means you first. Right. Hey, you wore the shoes. I mean, come on. Right?
I always wear the shoes.
Woo, you always wear the shoes. All right, mic's on. Are we on? Are we?
Yes. I don't think so.
Yeah, tap. Yeah, there we
I'm
go.
on.
Okay, good. We're on. All right, these have to be fairly close to your mouth, the microphones. So there we go. All right, yeah. So I'm just going to let you do your own introductions for a minute. You tell us a little bit about yourself, name, what you do or have done for a living, and how long you've been here at Crosspoint Church. Maybe that's a good place to start. How's that?
Sure. All right, my name is Dawn Harlacher. We came here, I want to say, I've been here 17 years now. Yeah. My daughter was 6. She's now 23. And I work at a law firm, McNeese, Wallace & Nurick, and my title is Litigation Technology and E-Discovery Analyst. I really don't know what that means either, so don't feel bad.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm Rosanna Stillwagon. We've been here 30-some years.
Yeah.
Long time. So this church has raised our children and kept our marriage together. And I'm a retired special ed teacher. I taught visually handicapped children.
And I'm Chris Gonzalez. We've been here 10 years now, so I guess I'm the new one on the block. But
Newest, yeah.
Moved all over, ended up in Harrisburg, and been here at this church since. I'm the, I guess the title is New Model Launch Manager for Harley-Davidson. So
Right.
my team's in charge of getting the new products and getting them on the road to everybody.
Right. Yes. Now you know why I asked him to be here. Right. I'm hoping for a bike. Anyway. Yeah, feel free to bring samples. That's my new thing, right? There you go. All right, so I'm going to throw it out to the three of you and let you decide who goes first by just stepping up to the microphone. But I shot some questions out to you so that I could get some of your thought processes going, and that is the first question out of the gate really is, how do you feel like you get a chance to utilize your gifting? And do you know what your gifting is, and how do you get a chance to utilize that in your everyday life?
Are you looking at me?
Well, they were. Yeah, they did, didn't they?
I know, seriously.
Right,
like I'm in the
yeah.
hot seat, I guess.
Well, go ahead then.
All righty. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm still discovering my gifts. I'm just going to be blunt. Like, I never really thought, about spiritual gifts until I took the first inventory here when I joined.
Yeah.
I just thought there were things I was good at, and they were kind of what made me me, and I didn't really recognize them as gifts from God, and, until, that thought was really put into my head about it. So I feel it's always a developing thing, and I kind of feel like when we've done the old spiritual gift, those always really did line up with what I was good at. This new one, I don't really think they match up at all,
Okay,
so now I'm
okay.
back to
So the
struggling
new
with the
one's a
whole
challenge,
question.
right, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has me struggling because even like my job doesn't match up to it. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's really gotten me thinking and questioning,
Yeah.
if I can be
Okay.
honest about
Okay,
it.
yeah, sure. No, that's good. That's a good answer. All right. You want to go right down the line?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
The question was...
Your gifting, how do
yeah.
you see yourself
Okay.
using your gifting?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I think now, especially now that I'm retired, I can use it. I use it all the time, whatever I do. And I'm a teacher, so teachers are kind of entertainers by definition.
Yeah.
So whatever I do, if I'm whatever I'm doing, if I'm playing the ukulele or if I'm playing with friends or a small group, or you're using your gift even if you don't know it, I think.
Yeah, can you stay on that for just a minute? And how does that come out? How do you see that happening in your life? I'm going to dig a little deeper with you right now on that one.
I like to think I'm an encourager.
Okay.
I've tried a lot of different ministries in the church.
Yeah.
And some of them were better than others.
Yeah.
So,
So gifting for you has been a little bit of a trial and error.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
would you say the same thing?
I would.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, Chris, launch onto that, right? Yeah.
So being in the corporate world, you get lots of assessments.
Yeah.
So I've heard lots about what my strengths are
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and how they apply at work. And
Did you do Strength Finders?
sure did.
Okay, sure, right. That's Strength Finders is a really good evaluative tool for, especially in the work world.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was
right.
listening to that part with Betsy, and
Oh, yeah.
they.
right.
So I had a couple of those tests before I did
Okay.
a spiritual gifts test,
Yeah.
and saw how they kind of lined up and reaffirmed kind of what I was doing.
Yeah.
But one of my gifts was spiritual gifts was administration, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I really hate being a manager. I really don't know how that
Oh,
applies. But then as I started looking at what I bring to my team at work,
Yeah.
is the ability to look at the people in the group, see what they're strong at, and try and draw that out, which is actually in my strengths, but I never really saw the spiritual part of it.
Okay.
And then had the opportunity to work when we were putting the campus downtown,
Yeah.
and really saw how, especially with Josh, it was a good balance that the administration part, structuring things, putting in systems kind of was my forte, and really reaffirmed that, yeah, that does make sense to who I am and what I can bring to the table.
This is a question I didn't throw at the three of you, but do you, all three of you, do you tend to find yourself frustrated when you don't see, or when you see the absence of your gift in a place or a setting where you're working or you're living out your life? When you see the absence of your gift, do you like, oh, I've got to jump in because this is not good, or something like that? Do you see? Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're on it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, some of my strengths are more developing an individualization of people.
Yeah.
And so when that, in the workplace, it's real easy to focus on the work, focus on the problems, and not focus on the people. So I get the opportunity to bring that into the discussion and
Yeah.
really share, we're not considering this aspect of it and how it's
Right.
impacting the people. And
Sure.
so that's definitely something I see.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think in my workplace, I have a very unique job. I'm like the only one who does it where I am.
Yeah.
So I'm very good at organization. Like, I am an admin person. And so as this whole series, when you asked me to do this, has really had me thinking the last couple of weeks, because I really don't feel like I used my gift in my actual job. And I was shocked that technology was like my second one in this one, because I can't work on a car. It's like carpenter skills. I don't have any of those skills.
Right.
So I
But
don't
tell
get
me
how
your
I did
job
that.
title again.
Well, it's litigation technology
Right.
and e-discovery analyst. So what I
Okay.
do is when a lawsuit gets into the discovery phase, which is kind of like a question answer, provide documents, proof, blah, blah, blah. I do all of it electronically. So like, I get everybody's emails and, Teams and chats and social media. I can capture social media, which
Sure.
is sometimes very quite interesting, because remember, nothing ever goes away forever, because I can find it. So, and I
Okay,
capture
now we're all
it.
scared.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it's used in all
Yeah.
areas of law. I mean,
Right.
especially family law.
Okay.
People are fighting. People don't think before they put stuff on their social media, and kids have not gotten scholarships. People lose jobs. It's used way more than what you think it's used for.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I do, and I would say that's the most interesting part of what I do. But yeah, so like the technology part, I work in programs, so I organize people's discovery and run productions and get it to the opposing counsel and kind of like that. So in that aspect, yeah, it's in my job title, but I don't really feel, I don't know, I just never thought technology was like a strength of
Sure.
mine.
But it sounds like it is.
I guess.
Okay. You're still
But I
figuring
can't
it
say,
out, right?
It is, because I can't say I wake up every morning and be like, oh, I
Okay.
can't wait to go to
Oh,
work.
okay,
Like,
yeah,
I don't
right.
work
I can't wait
in
to dive in
something-
and find all the gunk on this
Yeah.
person's
no,
life.
I'm still
right?
like,
Yeah, right.
let me snooze a little bit
Okay,
longer.
all
you
right,
know?
all right.
I think,
I understand.
I think because I've worked in special ed,
Yeah,
everyone needs encouragement.
right.
And, things that we take for granted because we have, two functioning arms and legs and eyes and all that, people who don't have that really need encouragement. And the beauty of kids they're just like, I can see why God wants us to be like children, because they're just like, hey, what do you have for me today?
Right.
And I think that's how God wants us to be. What's up, God? What's going to happen? So Everyone needs, no matter what they're doing, if they're making a piece of toast or if they're putting their pants on or getting a jacket on, they need encouragement. And I really like that about my job, even though I'm retired.
Right.
I love being retired. It's God's gift to living. But I really enjoyed that creative part.
Yeah.
And, making up songs for kids to learn and poetry for them to learn, not just the academic part, but the part that makes you proud of yourself.
So you would say, along with encouragement, you have this creativity thing going as a part of who you are.
Yeah.
And then
guess.
do you see those two meshing together?
Well, it had to in my job.
Okay.
And
all right.
it does now, because now I seek things that I think I can do. Like, that I may not be good at it, but now it doesn't matter. And that's, now when I tried, what do you call it, greeting,
Yeah.
I learned that I'm good,
Okay.
but you really have to be on time. So there's that. So that was not my
That
best.
is true. That is true. Should we tell her what we said
We
earlier?
should not.
We should not. No, I said, I'm a little worried about, I haven't seen Rosanna yet. And we were like, oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Very
Yeah.
revealing. Anyway.
I said it quite lovingly, though.
I know you did. So, but anyway, but the good part is you can okay, that doesn't work. Let me go try something else. Like,
Okay.
God doesn't get mad at you because you can't do something right. He doesn't care. He just wants you to try. And isn't that how we are with kids? We say, you know what, okay, you're going to fall on that bicycle. It's not a matter of if, you're going to. So no matter what we're doing, whether we're doing it for ourselves or for God or for somebody else, we're going to screw it up. And God says, well, okay, either try it again, try it another way, or try something else.
Right.
So it's fun to try.
All right. So you find it incredibly fun to live into your gifting. Yeah.
When you're old, you're just fine living it, exciting. Yes, that's the answer.
Okay. Good. Chris,
Yeah,
which, by the way, we did not call each
we
other.
did not.
And dress alike. Anyway, right.
So, yeah, excited to go to work, not often, but I have found through analyzing my gifts that the days I am excited to be there are the days that lean into my gifts. So the days I know I get to go coach people, do one-on-ones with people, really talk about developing them,
Right.
is the part that gets me excited to go.
So is that your gifting area?
Yep, I'd say so.
All right. So leaning into, so you would say, or would you say that working with persons and their interpersonal skills and pulling those out of somebody else is part of who you are?
Absolutely.
All right.
So
Yeah.
I'm very introverted, as
Okay,
we've
right,
discussed
yes.
before.
Yeah, by the way, Rosanna was the only one who jubilantly said yes to this. She was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be there. I can talk about 100 things. And the other, Don and Chris both said, I will do this because I don't want to, but I'll do this because you're asking me to, kind of thing. And because you're both introverted, a little bit more shy. Your microphone's been shaking the whole time.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, sorry. All right. But, as very real human beings, like we said we wanted to be, right? So I appreciate it. So here's that thing, whether extrovert, introvert, gifting still plays a role, right?
Yep.
Right. And so as an introverted person, you were going to say, and I think I interrupted you.
I'm not good at public speaking, but I do really enjoy one-on-one interaction.
Yeah.
And that's part of my strength set and also part of my spiritual gifts
Right.
is developing people.
Sure.
And really recognizing what makes them strong.
Good. Would you say you have a gift that you lean into the best? Rosanna, Don, would you say, Chris said, my interpersonal skills with people and one-on-ones, would you say there's, when I do this, boy, that's my sweet spot. Would you say you have one?
I do. I guess for the past year or so, I became a Dauphin County CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate for foster, abused, and neglected children. And
Which is part of the reason I asked her to be here. I know what she does for a living, but we talked about this, and I gave a reference for you and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about how this was a major thing for you.
Oh, it's a major process, and we're always looking for new volunteers, just in case anyone's out there that may be
Right.
interested.
Yeah.
My little plug. But
3-month training.
Yeah, it was like a 30-hour pre-service training,
Right.
and then I had to observe a hearing, and then I had a 2-hour interview, and then, well, that was before my training, and
Yeah.
so we had this 30-hour training, and then a 2-hour interview after I went through all the training. Then we got sworn in. I mean, it's a long process. It's a couple-month process, but I love it. I just visited my kid yesterday. So I have a 16-year-old girl that I've been court-appointed to be her voice and her advocate. It's been ups and downs. She's run away a couple times now. Unfortunately, she's been in potential sex trafficking situations, and that started since the time she was probably 12 or 13, and she's only 16 now. So it's a high and a low thing, but I don't know, I love visiting her. We chat, her parents both kind of signed her into the system. They don't even live in the state anymore, so they've just kind of washed her hands. So a couple weeks ago, we finally placed her with a potential foster family. So we're really happy about that. That's like a bright, positive spot for her. But yeah, I'm not considered her mother, I'm her advocate. But the court has said I get all medical records, education records. I can help make decisions. I make recommendations to the court, which the court does usually institute as next steps for her. Wow. So it's very rewarding, and I hope she's gotten something out of it. I started it because I'd always wanted to be a foster parent, and my husband was never really on board, so I really want to work that well. And it's probably...
Now, you have 3 kids of your own, though.
I do, yeah, I have 3, and they're all basically adult children, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And that's kind of when I became involved, I wrapped my whole life with them, and all my interests were there. Everything they did, my whole friend base was based on what sporting parents were I with or whatever my kids were doing. Yeah. And, you kind of flounder. It's like, who am I now? I had no clue anymore because it was always Cameron and Keldon and Callie's mom, and that's how I lived for, 27 years or more, until that. So now it's time for me, and that's why I'm still developing and trying to find something that really does make me happy and joyful. And, I feel like, not that I ever will feel I'm done parenting my kids, because I just don't feel that's a job you ever are done with,
Sure.
But I felt I still have something I can still give to others, that kids that may not have that in their life. And, my husband was like, you can't do this, you'll end up in jail. The first time you're told to return one of those kids to an abusive situation, you're gonna be leaving. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. So then...
All right, we'll bail you out, we promise.
So this whole situation came across my desk. I was working on sponsorships at work, and it was just an opportunity for our firm to help sponsor an event. And I was like, wait, what's that? And so I researched it, and I was like, this sounds perfect for me. My daughter is like, oh, can I meet her? I'm like, no, they don't know her name. It's kind of bad like that. So I always call her my CASA kid, and I asked if they minded if I called her my kid because, they're my kids too. So they're all cool with it. So if you ever hear me talking my CASA kid, it's all good. But so that's just one of the things I just love doing now.
This has been a part of you that's always been in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just really I don't even want to say it's a brand new thing, because even through neighborhood kids, we'd have 10, 15 kids at our house, every evening. We would sometimes feed them because, they were told not to come home and never knew if they were, some of them were going to eat. So, I remember one night my husband was like, there's not much chicken in the dinner. And I'm like, yeah, I've already fed 5 kids that aren't going to eat. We're going to eat. So eat just a little bit less today.
Right. There you go. Good. Thank you. So how have you discovered your gifts? How did they become, each of, let's be honest, everybody up here on the stage is not on our first trip around the sun. So, sorry. I got a couple, and so do you, right? So obviously there was there was a period of discovery in here of learning what your gifts were. How did you learn? Was it an accident, or did you like, well, every time I do this? How did you discover your gifting?
I think
Microphone. Yeah, thank
I
you.
think the church kind of encourages you to try different things. So I think I did nursery school for a while, and I remember my daughter leading a mutiny in my class. So that was like, okay, I'll do this, but not necessarily when I'm a kid. I did vacation Bible school and Sunday school, and I remember, and I wrote it down, his name was, I was in church council.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Alan Thompson, do you
Yeah,
remember him?
Alan Thompson, yeah, I
He had these
remember him well.
beautiful blue eyes.
What a saintly man.
And
Yeah,
he
listen,
said,
yeah.
would you like to do hospital visitation? And I was like, he had these eyes, and I go, well, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's Alan.
And he
yeah,
had this
right, yeah.
smile,
That
and
was Alan.
such a nice guy. So he
Oh,
went
God,
with me
yes.
and, gave me the little training and things and a book. And I love doing hospital visits. I love old people, elderly people, seniors.
There you
Better
go.
place
yeah.
to say it.
Wow, you backed out of that
Right.
one well, right? Yeah.
But I love and I love going to the hospitals and saying, to the nurses, thank you for taking care of our person, our church.
Right.
And so again, everybody loves getting a compliment, letting you know that they appreciate them. So I really like that. And, sometimes people would be a little grumpy because they didn't want to be in the hospital.
Sure.
So they're like, don't read any verses to me. They wouldn't say get out, but like
Yeah, right,
grumpy. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I'll be back tomorrow. I've got
Who's
another
this person?
junk,
Right,
another
yeah.
funny something. So then I just really liked it. So that evolved to, and I still do that, but now I do hospice care. And so that's what you
So
sent
that's
me.
developed into, I didn't know that
Yeah.
you moved into that area.
Yeah, you actually sent me a recommendation.
I did.
And so
I
I've been
remember that.
doing it. Yeah, I've been doing
And
it
you followed
since.
up on that.
Yeah.
This is news. This is great. I love it.
So I
Tell
do.
us more. Yeah.
I've been doing hospice since January. We had training, and I go every week. And they don't really. The Lord doesn't have chariots so much more that just takes you away. Yeah. But, we can be the chariots. We can be the escort service going on to heaven, right?
Right.
So I kind of have like a work position, thought process in it. But, death, for some of the folks, the closer you get to God, they are just so joyful. Some people that I've met in the church, now not so much in hospice, but I think the church has kind of trained me to think of death as, hey, we're just going to that next place. We're not meant to be here. Right. So the staff is real earnest, and I always have like the Friday joke for them, which is really a horrible joke. But, they like it. And and so I just go in and I just do whatever they tell me to do, whether it's empty the trash or visit with somebody or fold laundry or read. Or I have a book on scriptures and songs, hymnals, and so some people would like you to sing with them, some people do not. And the training is very good. We have training, mandatory training every month, and they teach us about other religions and other faiths and how not to push, but to seek, and to make sure that the priority is to make that person comfortable. And the philosophy is that when a baby comes into the world, the mother and everyone, the family rallies around, and we make sure everyone's comfortable. And hospice care, their philosophy is somebody leaving the world, they should have that same respect and comfort, no matter what their faith is. And so it's a unique place to still encourage. So that's
That
what I do.
jazzes you, doesn't it? I can
I
tell.
love it. I love it.
Right.
There's the people are so cool, and it's like you might be the last person that they talk to on earth, and you're like, okay, God, you got this one,
Yeah, right.
So it's everybody has their unique thing, right?
Right, right. Yeah, not everybody could do that. You right. In that statement is that's what you're saying, right? It's not for everybody.
Right.
But it's for you, and
right,
you've discovered that.
right,
And by living into that, that's just given you a whole new thing to do in life. That, like Dawn, it was always in there probably, right? It's just always been in there. Yeah. Chris, what do you got with that?
I don't know how you follow that up.
I know, right?
With a hard
All right.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Run.
So yeah. Here's what I know about you. As a project manager for new design, that's how. I mean, somebody hands you, hey, here's the bike we want to build. How do we? Yeah.
So, yeah. Question was,
Yeah.
how do I find my gifts?
Yeah.
I started out as an engineer at the plant and found out I really don't like engineering.
Wow. So you went to school for
I
engineering.
went to
you have
school
a
for
degree in
engineering,
Yeah, right.
came out and
right, yeah.
didn't really like the work itself.
Okay.
But you tend to find areas that make you happy in it and focus more of your skill set on that,
All right.
which
Yeah.
I look at finding out your gifts.
Yeah.
And my gifts tend to be putting in systems and finding people to fill those teams and then helping those teams do their best work.
Right.
And that's kind of where I had my sweet spot. I really like focusing on the people, making sure I understand what makes them tick, and giving them opportunities to really be jazzed about what they do.
Right.
And in the work itself now, our team focuses more on what's it take to make it good for the person at the plant who's got to build a bike. So we get to focus on what makes it easy for them, what do they like about their job, how do we set up their job so it's something enjoyable for them.
Sure.
So that really reinforced what we do there. And then along those lines, when I became a manager, it became more about the ability to pour into people.
Yeah.
And it's been unique the past year that more people have come to me talking about their faith. Yes, if
Wow.
there's not a lot of people comfortable sharing their faith in the workplace,
Right.
but it's become really interesting to me the past year. The past 2 weeks, I've had 3 people from my team come up and say, "Can you pray for me?" It's
Oh,
like,
wow.
we've never talked about faith in the workplace, and it's usually frowned upon a lot in bigger organizations. So it's a really good feeling to see that people see that in you and are willing to share that with you, and understand that you're really looking out for them.
Sure. So what a great lead-in. Thank you, because I want to flip this, and I want to ask all three of you: How did you experience someone living their gift into your life? Did someone you knew was like, "Wow, you're just really gifted at that," and that encouraged you, or that gave you the green light to do something? Have you ever had somebody in your life that you looked at and said, that person's just really spot on. They're doing exactly what it is they ought to be doing in life. Yeah?
Yeah, I guess when I first saw this question, 2 wonderful women came into my mind right away, who've totally poured themselves into me. Like, I think a lot of times it's so much easier for other people to see your gifts than for you to see them yourself.
Yeah, right.
We don't tend to, I don't know, at least I don't tend to do that well.
Yeah.
So these people, besides my parents, my parents have always poured into me throughout my whole life, and I've been very, very lucky and blessed by that. They're wonderful people. So,
Yes, they
but
are.
besides that are the other 2 women that, they're using their gifts. And I think the most impactful person when you use your gift is when you're helping others to see and develop their gifts right alongside you. Like, they pour into you so you can pour into others. You got to fill your own cup first.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think they've really helped me. I really thought about this a lot the last few weeks, because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say up there.
She did. Yeah, we had several conversations about that.
And I was the one who said spiritual or public speaking is not my spiritual gift, but I'm going to do it scared anyway. So my microphone's moving, my feet are moving. That's me just doing it scared. So, but I guess I just really thought about it. That really hit me this past week, and thinking about this is, what would I feel like if I gave a gift to someone for Christmas this year, and in August I go to their house and it's still in the corner in the box? And it kind of really got me thinking to be like, how sad is God if I don't use the gifts he's given me? And so, yeah, I'm still searching to find what they totally are, and I think they do evolve and change maybe a little bit as you get older. Here I've been a youth leader. I'm actually supposed to be at Crosspoint Kids today, but thanks, Jasper, for taking my spot. I do that. I've been on hospitality. I'm a co-chair for Sisters of the Heart. I'm at work. I am in charge of our United Way campaign, in charge of our Nativity School food collection for Christmas. The things I really like doing seem to be more charitable things than actually what I do for a living. Right. That's what really energizes me. But yeah, it just really, I don't want to leave God sad that my gifts are still in the box in the corner, not being paid attention to.
And what a great, thank you for that image. I think that works for all of us. Thank you. Yeah, Rosanna. Microphone. When somebody else put their gifts into your life, somebody used their gifts, and you were on the receiving end.
Receiving end.
Yeah, did you experience that, and have you experienced that in your life?
Yeah, I think I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I've been blessed that I've been given opportunities to bless other people.
Yeah.
And we remember when the kids would come to the campground. We used to own a campground.
Yeah.
And the kids would come and they would, make money to go to their mission trips. And, the parents would come with the kids, and, the kids would have a good time and get things done. And the fun was had by all. And my husband was like, okay, get donuts, get cocoa, get this things for them.
Right.
And so that was a blessing. Mm-hmm. And I just think pretty much everything you do, you're either getting blessed or giving a blessing. Like,
right.
I ride a motorcycle. My husband and I both ride. And I pray every time I get out of my bike.
Right, yeah.
So I'm praying. And last night, I belonged to this ladies' motorcycle group. And so, they know I'm a Christian. And they know there's some things that, I probably won't say.
Yeah.
But they also know that I want to have a good time, too. So I just feel like there's nothing I do that I don't see that I'm not blessed by. Right. But that's because I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Eyes
wide open.
Yeah. Right. Living in the country, my mom would say, I'd always see these spiders. And I'd go crazy. And she'd go, well, you see the spiders because you're looking for it. And I'm like, darn Skippy, right?
Right.
Well, then I think it's the blessing. How kids are, they say that story about a kid in a barn, and they see all that poop around,
right.
And the kid's going, got to be a pony here somewhere, and I think that's what God wants us to see, no matter what the crappy situation is. There's a blessing somewhere, and I hang out with people who support that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the blessing is.
Great. Chris, how have you seen people blessing you in using their gifts?
There were a lot of examples I was thinking about, since I don't have any that are huge examples, but I think God delivers leaders, inspiration, mentors, people to share gifts with you as the occasion calls for. But the simplest example I had is actually my wife.
Making husband points. Go for
no?
it.
Go.
Yeah.
It's a unique one, though.
Okay.
So I raised my son more or less by myself.
Yeah.
And as that role, and you're the disciplinarian, you can't be the friend as much. And she does that well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So they have unique conversations I don't get.
Right. Yep. Sure. And he turned out pretty good. Yeah, that guy. Well, I want to thank the three of you for being here and just sharing very real stuff about your lives. I've had a chance to know the three of you, but I wanted the congregation to get to know the three of you a little bit more and to hear how the three of you are living out that gifting in your life every single day, really. I mean, you know, you take who you are into your lives, and I see it, and I see many of you doing the exact same thing, taking your gifting into your workplace, into your lives, and applying it. And I love to hear the sweet spot stories that have come out of this series of messages. And so I want to thank the three of you for being here. Can you give them a hand? Because, yeah, that was terrific. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Crosspoint Online this week. We hope that you enjoyed that message and got something out of it. Before we let you go, we do want to give you the opportunity to be part of the community here at Crosspoint Church through giving. Your giving helps do all of the different ministries we're involved in with kids and with young adults and teenagers and families in the community, work we do around the world in Sierra Leone and other places. And you can be a part of that by giving through Crosspoint Church. You can go to the link that is right in the description of this video. Go online and give there. You can click this QR code that's at the bottom of the screen. It'll take you right to that page. We appreciate everybody who wants to be a part of the giving that helps the ministries of Crosspoint Church happen. Thanks, and we will see you next time.